What's up? What's up, everyone? I know, third upload in less than, not even 24 hours, in less than like 5 hours at this point, but I had to make another video. There's so many pictures. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. Before that, if you enjoy my content, do me a massive favor. Slap a like on this video and subscribe. Like goal is going to be 42069. Alright, now I'm not going to break down all 30 images because that would take a really long time, and a lot of them are repeated pictures of like the similar scenario, just zoomed out and zoomed in. But this first image, this like a lot of people were commenting on the House of the Dragon subreddit. It's very clear that these are Esosi clothing, which means that this is the Stepstones. We're getting a flashback to when Daemon was conquering the Stepstones. In my opinion, this is most likely tied into his first scenes. I thought it would be epic to have his first scene would be flying in on CARAXES, bending down in front of his brother and laying the Stepstone crowns at his feet. That wouldn't make much sense if you don't really know what the fuck the Stepstones are. If you're an average show watcher and you haven't really looked into the source material, you don't know what the Stepstones are. So the significance of them in showing that Daemon is pretty capable, the significance is, I don't even know what my point was saying there, but to the average show watcher, they don't know what the Stepstones is. So if you show them on screen that it's this sort of miniature kingdom that Daemon has carved out for his own because he grew tired of what was happening in King's Landing, like basically he was just offered a position on the small council, mainly because the relationship with his brother King Viserys. King Viserys knows that Daemon is a manipulative, conniving cunt, and because of this, he sort of keeps him at bay. That doesn't mean that he's not really close with Daemon. He is. He's actually super close with Daemon, and that's the reason why Daemon's able to get away with so much stuff. But basically, Daemon's famous for growing bored, and he goes to the Stepstones and carves out his own kingdom. And in these images, and a couple of the other ones, I know, baby, I know. A couple of these other ones right here, it appears as though Daemon is torturing people who are no longer loyal to him. These are either subjects that have done something treasonous, or these are just people who used to rule the Stepstones that Daemon's conquered. He ends up having someone named Mysaria, who's the mistress of Whisperers, and in the storyline kind of makes it seem as though he comes across her in a King's Landing brothel, but it doesn't specifically say she was a whore. It's a little bit mixed, and I'm pretty sure the whole like plot line and like time points for each character, much like for Game of Thrones, are going to be mixed and matched. It does two things. Sorry about that. It does two things. The first one is make it so that if you have read the books like myself, you've studied the source material in and out, well, you don't really know what's going to happen next because the timeline has been mixed and matched. And then the other thing that it does is it changes the death, right? So the pacing where you're expecting certain parts, it really ties into the first part. It just keeps you on your toes. You don't really know what's going to happen. But from a lot of these images, I'll zoom in on this one here. It looks as though there's a puppet right there, but they're using actual sort of like backdrop actors, day players. So they will have lines. Maybe. It seems as though they're not sort of holding back on the torture. That's fucking crazy. Those look way more detailed than the dead bodies we saw when Daenerys hit the loot train in Season 7. And then also, obviously, the battle for King's Landing in Season 8. And this sort of looks as though these are the Esosi soldiers. We don't really know if Daemon, like obviously Daemon takes some Targaryen soldiers with him, but for the most part, and it mentions in the source material that he carves out his own kingdom in the Stepstones, that's likely what he does. He takes gold. That I smirked there because I thought about how the Lannisters' gold and how in the first several seasons Tyrion's like, you know, we always pay our fucking debts. The Lannister always pays his debts. That's going to be what it's like with the Targaryen dollar. And it's interesting because Daenerys, you know, sort of had to make up her own money. But I'm assuming Daemon buys these sellswords. And it'll be interesting to sort of like see which, I guess we'll figure it out more so when the trailer comes out, but it seems as though they're spending a lot of time telling each person's backstory, right? So we're gonna get this, okay. So we're gonna get to see flashbacks with Rhaenyra and Alicent and how maybe before they had children and before Viserys declared Rhaenyra his heir, even after he had male heirs with Alicent, it'll be interesting to see the relationship and then how all of that changes. Like how Daemon has this established kingdom and then leaves it. It'll be very reminiscent to Daenerys leaving the Bay of the Dragons and going to go conquer Westeros. All right, baby. All right. Hang on, Daddy's almost done. All right, and then we also had a couple of shots of the Targaryen youths, which is my favorite. Speaking of youths, this is most likely just Jacaerys, Lucerys. The fact that they have brown hair means that they're the strong bastards, right? So that's the storyline in the books, that basically Rhaenyra cheats on her husband, who's Velaryon. Sir, you're throwing off my train of thought. Basically, Rhaenyra's children aren't actually hers. It's a very similar plot line to Cersei and, Joffrey and Tommen. They aren't actually, and Marcella, they aren't actually Robert Baratheons. Although legally their last name is Baratheon, they're bastards. She had an incestuous relationship with her brother Robert. With her brother Jaime, cheating on Robert. But this is not necessarily the same case. With Rhaenyra is known as the Realm's Delight. And the story, depending on who's telling that version of the story, so whether it's the Maesters, whether it's Mushroom, whether it's just like in general, like what other characters interpret on the TV series, like with Stannis and I think Joffrey even mentions the Dance of the Dragons. Basically, depending on who's telling the story, Rhaenyra being the Realm's Delight sort of means multiple different things. It could mean that everyone loved her, she was a lady of the people, which is most likely what it means, but then it also could have a dual meaning, where it's sort of like a slander at her, which is basically she's a whore. Maybe she took on multiple suitors, and because she's a Targaryen, she's allowed to kind of do what she wants. And obviously Viserys is not necessarily a pushover, but he's easily impressionable, meaning if someone really leans on something, Viserys will likely sway that way. He has his merits, but he's easily swayable. So if, Rhaenyra growing up is like, Dad, I don't want to, just date whoever you think I should. I'm going to do my own thing. If she does that during this medieval time period, she'd be called a whore. So that Realm's Delight works as a slight, as well as sort of like a way to describe her character. But another thing, one of the other images that I noticed, which I kind of just did a video on earlier, it was of the Targaryen guard, and this is sort of like a closer up picture. This almost looks like they're doing maybe a promotional photo shoot, although no, that'd be stupid. I don't know why they would show some random background actor. Like, the armor looks fucking awesome, but this is most likely for something that's going to have a green screen in the backdrop. This is someone's camp, and the main reason why I say this is because if you look in this image right here, there's actual fucking people walking in the background. So whatever is probably added behind that is obviously going to be sort of blue screened out. I don't know why they would do a sort of like showcase featuring random characters who probably won't, from the looks of them, won't have any like lines. And then I think that's pretty much it. There are a few other images of the Targaryen youth. Like I said, it's probably Jace and Luke. We all know that storyline. I've talked about it several times. There was a few images of Matt Smith. And his hair looks to be many different lengths. So obviously they're going to be using Matt Smith to, like, the actor Matt Smith to play Daemon in all the different flashbacks. And I thought that was fucking genius. It would make sense. You could just make Matt Smith look a little bit younger because, yes, these maybe 10 and 15-year time jumps, but really having children ages you. So if you want to show that time jump without having to actually put like 10 to 15 years on the little screen, hang on, baby, Daddy's almost done. I promise you. I promise. Without actually having to put, like, this is 10 years later, is you just show young Rhaenyra, young Alicent. Obviously, after they have the children, they're going to look a lot older. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to get out of here. I want to thank you all so much for watching. My son has enjoyed this as much as I have. If you could, please slap a like on this video. The like goal is going to be 42069. Thank you all so much for watching. My name is Mark, and this has been Sir Hunt's Review.